For this lesson, we're going to be talking about division properties of exponents. Okay, for the warm-up, we want to talk about, remind ourselves what we did yesterday. What do you do with exponents when you multiply two bases together? Well, we all know you just add the exponents when you multiply similar bases. So x to the second times x to the fifth would give you x raised to the 2 plus 5, which would give you the x raised to the 7th. Now today we're going to be talking about division. So when we multiplied, we added exponents, so you might even just guess this, but when we do quotients of powers and we divide two powers with the same base, instead of adding, we're going to subtract. Addition is the opposite of subtraction, multiplication is the opposite of division. We've kind of talked about that when solving equations. So since we added when we multiplied, we're going to subtract when we divide. So if we look at some examples here, c raised to the 11th divided by c raised to the 8th, that would give me c raised to the 11th minus 8, which would be c raised to the 3rd power. In the second example, r raised to the 5th power divided by r raised to the 2nd power would give me r raised to the 5th minus 2nd power, which would give me r raised to the 3rd power. And same thing as we talked about in the last lesson, if I had x raised to the 3rd divided by y raised to the 2nd, there's nothing I can do because they are not the same base. This only works when you have that same base. So let's go ahead and look at an example. Here we've got g raised to the 3rd times h raised to the 5th, all divided by g times h raised to the 2nd power. It's always important that we assume no denominator equals 0, because if we have a denominator that equals 0, you can't do it. Okay, if you type it into your calculator, you'd probably get error or something would pop up, some sort of message telling you can't divide by 0. Okay, it's just not physically possible to divide something by 0, which is why we have to assume this. So now I've got this quotient. I'm going to think of this piece by piece, looking at variable by variable. So I've got g cubed divided by g, which is really g raised to the 1st power. So I've got g raised to the 3rd power divided by g raised to the 1st power. And then I've also got this h raised to the 5th power divided by h raised to the 2nd power. You do not have to rewrite this. I'm just trying to show you what it looks like. Since I've got g cubed divided by g to the 1st power, that means same base, and I'm dividing, I'm going to subtract my exponent. So I've got g raised to the 3 minus 1 times, with my h's, h to the 5th divided by h to the 2nd. I'm dividing, so I'm going to subtract exponents, h raised to the 5 minus 2. G raised to the 3 minus 1 is the same thing as g squared, 3 minus 1 is 2, times, and I get h raised to the 5th minus 2, 5 minus 2 is 3, so I get times h cubed. And there's your answer. And that's all you have to do. It's just the exact opposite of what we talked about in the last lesson. Multiply, add exponents, divide, subtract exponents.